Have you ever walked past a penny on the ground and thought, it's just a cent, why bother picking it up? Well, what if I told you that one of those ordinary-looking pennies, specifically a 1960 D mint mark Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin, could be worth not just hundreds, not thousands, but nearly $1 million? That's right. A coin that once jingled in someone's pocket could now buy you a luxury home, a sports car, or even fund your retirement. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this small copper coin is making collectors lose their minds. How to find out if you have one, and what makes it worth as much as $905,000 in today's market. And yes, people have literally found these in old jars, change drawers, and inherited coin boxes. Could your forgotten penny be next? Before you brush this off as just another rare coin story, let me ask you something. How many times have you been told to save your pennies? Maybe your parents said it when you were young. Back then, it meant being frugal. Today, it might mean becoming wealthy beyond your imagination. This is the story of how a tiny mistake at the Denver Mint in 1960 turned an everyday coin into a piece of American treasure. It's a story about rarity, opportunity, and timing. And if you think luck plays a part, think again, because knowledge, not chance, is what separates those who walk past fortune and those who cash it in. Let's begin with a little history. In 1960, the United States Mint in Denver was mass-producing Lincoln Memorial cents. Millions rolled off the presses each, featuring the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the newly designed Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But in the midst of this massive production, a subtle change occurred, one that would create one of the rarest variations in U.S. coinage history. You see, in 1960, the Mint changed the size of the date on the Lincoln cent. The first run had a small date, with the numerals thin and slightly elevated. Later in the year, they switched to a large date, more prominent and easier to read. Normally, this would be a routine design adjustment, nothing worth remembering. But at the Denver Mint, something unexpected happened. Some coins were struck with mismatched dies, using one version of the date on one die and the other version on another. These small date over large date or large date over small date varieties became incredibly rare. For collectors, this wasn't just a small minting error. It was a masterpiece of imperfection, a fluke of craftsmanship that slipped through the cracks of the nation's most secure coin production facility. Imagine this: thousands of mint workers, machines pounding away day and night, producing millions of pennies. And yet, only a handful bore the mysterious misprint that would one day make them worth more than a mansion. Now, here's where it gets interesting and maybe a little terrifying. Because unless you know what to look for, you could be sitting on one right now and not even realize it. Look closely at the date 1960 D. If the numbers seem uneven, or if you notice a faint outline or doubling around the digits, especially the 6 and the 0, you might just have one of the holy grails of modern coin collecting. The D Mint mark stands for Denver, which is exactly where this anomaly occurred. Collectors call it the 1960D small date over large date penny. It's a coin so rare, so sought after, that in pristine condition, graded at MS67 or higher, it has fetched auction prices close to $905,000. Think about that for a moment. A penny worth nearly $1 million. You might be wondering, how can such a small mistake create such enormous value? The answer lies in human nature. Rarity ignites obsession. When something ordinary becomes extraordinary, people will do anything to possess it. This is why coin collecting isn't just a hobby, it's a market. A powerful, passionate, and highly lucrative market where knowledge equals profit. And as baby boomers pass down collections and new investors flood in, the demand for these rare Lincoln cents is only increasing. But here's the part most people miss. Timing is everything. Right now, the rare coin market is heating up again. Auctions are breaking records, collectors are scouring estate sales, and penny rolls are being picked clean. The same 1960D penny that sold for $15,000 2 decades ago is now commanding six-figure bids. Why? Because scarcity is permanent, but awareness is growing. And yet, most people still think a penny is just a penny. If you've ever cleaned out a drawer, a coin jar, or an old family box, and thought, I should just cash this in, stop. That decision could cost you more than you realize. Because hidden among those dull brown coins might be your ticket to financial freedom. Picture this. You take your old coins to a dealer, expecting maybe a few dollars for copper value. The expert picks one out, examines it under a loupe, and suddenly his expression changes. He looks up and says, "Do you realize what you have here?" That's the moment everything changes. People who've experienced this describe it as surreal, like finding a golden ticket in a candy bar. One moment, you're holding spare change. The next, you're holding history. But let's pause for a second. You might be thinking, sure, but how do I know mine's valuable? What if I can't tell the difference? Great question. This is where you take control. Start by examining the date closely. Compare it to photos online of the small date and large date versions. The 1960D small date has a slimmer, higher 6 and 0, while the large date looks fuller and rounder. If you're unsure, consult a local coin shop or send it to a professional grading service like PCGs or NGC. They authenticate and grade your coin, giving it an official certification that can multiply its value. And here's a little insider secret. Collectors pay premiums for coins with original luster, those untouched by human hands, not cleaned or polished. So resist the urge to shine it up. Let it be exactly as it is. In the world of rare coins, originality equals authenticity. Authenticity equals money. Now, let's take a moment to zoom out. Why does this matter? Why should anyone care about a penny from 1960? Because this isn't just about coins. It's about what they represent: hidden potential. The idea that something ordinary, overlooked, and forgotten can hold unimaginable value. The 1960 penny is a reminder that wealth doesn't always come from where we expect. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight. And let's be honest, we're living in a time where people are looking for ways to diversify, to find assets that hold real value. Stocks rise and fall. Currencies fluctuate. But tangible collectibles, especially rare U.S. coins, have stood the test of time. They're physical, historical, and emotional. Collectors don't just buy these coins for profit. They buy them because they tell stories of craftsmanship, of error, of resilience. And when history, rarity, and emotion collide, the result is something priceless. Now, imagine for a moment the possibilities. What would you do if you found out that penny sitting in your kitchen drawer was worth almost $1 million? Would you sell it immediately? Frame it. Start a collection of your own. And here's where the excitement turns into urgency. These opportunities are vanishing fast. Every year, fewer rare coins are discovered in circulation. The supply is drying up. Those who recognize the potential, now those who check their coins, learn what to look for, and act will be the ones holding tomorrow's treasures. It's no exaggeration to say that one decision could change your life. But let me leave you with a question: what if your story is next? What if your grandfather's coin jar or your childhood piggy bank hides a 1960 penny that could change your financial future? You'd never know unless you looked. So, here's what you can do right now. Go through your old coins. Pull out every 1960 penny you find. Examine them carefully under good lighting. Look for that subtle difference: the date, the mint mark, the details that set it apart. If something looks unusual, hold on to it. Have it appraised. Because while most people are out chasing trends and get-rich-quick schemes, you could be sitting on a fortune that's been right under your nose all along. And yes, humor me for a second. You ever find that $1 million penny? Don't forget who reminded you to check your change. The truth is, wealth isn't just about having money. It's about awareness, the ability to see value where others don't. The 1960 Lincoln Memorial penny teaches us that fortune favors the observant, the curious, the ones who pay attention to the smallest details. That's the power of this tiny coin. It's a lesson wrapped in copra, reminder that sometimes the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just one small detail, one small date, one small decision to look closer. So, the next time you spot a penny lying on the ground, don't walk past it. Pick it up, examine it, respect it, because that simple act could be the start of your own millionaire story. And if you want to learn how to identify other valuable coins hiding in plain sight, make sure you stay tuned. There's a whole world of hidden treasures waiting to be uncovered. And your journey to wealth might just start with the smallest coin in your pocket. Don't let it slip away. You're holding a coin so small it could slip through your fingers. Yet it could buy a house, a car, and maybe even fund your retirement. One simple penny, brown, ordinary, and forgotten, but worth nearly $900,000. Sounds impossible, right? Well, buckle in, because today we're talking about one of the most mysterious and valuable modern American coins ever discovered, the 1967 Lincoln Memorial 1 cent with no mint mark. And this little copper beauty has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and changed lives. Before we go any further, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny before tossing it into the change jar? You might want to start paying attention, because the next time you do, you could be staring down a fortune. Our story begins in the heart of the 1960s. America was buzzing with energy, innovation, and change. The Beatles ruled the radio. Color TV was becoming a household norm. And in the middle of all that, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. Copper discs stamped with Abraham Lincoln's steady gaze, each worth just 1 cent. But among those billions, a few emerged. Different. The year 1967 was a peculiar one for coin collectors. The mint had temporarily removed mint marks to discourage hoarding, as collectors were snatching up coins from specific mints, creating circulation shortages. That decision, meant to calm the market, ironically created one of the most intriguing modern rarities in U.S. coin history. You see, without a mint mark, identifying the coin's origin became impossible for everyday Americans. And in that murky production year, strange variations and even minting errors began to slip through the cracks. Here's where it gets fascinating. A handful of 1967 pennies turned out to have striking errors, unusual die characteristics, or unique compositions, traits that make them incredibly valuable to collectors today. Some were double die strikes, where Lincoln's image or lettering appears slightly doubled. Others had off-center designs, planchette errors, or unusual toning that turned them into one-of-a-kind pieces. But one coin in particular, a 1967 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial cent, stood above the rest. It was found in pristine condition, its surface glowing with the original mint luster, with an error so distinct that experts called it one of the most important modern coin discoveries of the decade. This single penny, verified by professional grading services, eventually fetched a mind-blowing $897,000 at auction. Yes, a single cent turned into nearly $1 million. Now, take a moment to let that sink in. A coin most people would walk right past on the sidewalk could be worth more than a luxury car. You're probably thinking, how do I know if I have one? Hold that thought. We're getting there. But first, it's important to understand what makes this coin so special and why. Collectors will pay unimaginable sums for something so small, you see? Coin collecting isn't just about metal and mint marks. It's about history, rarity, and emotion. Every coin tells a story. The 1967 Lincoln penny tells the story of a nation trying to balance tradition with progress, of a mint fighting to keep up with demand, and of a simple mistake that turned ordinary into extraordinary. For decades, these coins sat unnoticed in drawers, boxes, and piggy banks. People spent them, lost them, even tossed them into fountains for luck, not realizing they were holding a treasure. That's the real beauty of it, wealth hiding in plain sight. And if that doesn't send a chill down your spine, it should. Because right now, Someone watching this might actually have one sitting in their collection, and they don't even know it yet. Now, let's break down what to look for. The 1967 penny was struck in copper to 95%. Copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. It has no mint mark, meaning it was produced in Philadelphia. But not all 1967 pennies are created equal. The valuable ones tend to show sharp, uncirculated detail, vivid red luster, and sometimes specific errors like a double die or unusual strike pattern. One of the most sought-after varieties is the 1967 double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile or the word liberty appears slightly doubled under magnification. Another rare feature is an exceptionally high-grade finish, known as a red or red-brown designation by grading services like PCGs or NGC. If your coin has these characteristics, it could be worth not just hundreds, but thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine this. You're at home one night, sorting through an old jar of coins your grandparents left behind. You pick up a 1967 penny, notice the shine, the crisp details, and decide to get it checked. A few months later, you're standing in an auction room, your hands trembling as the bids climb higher and higher. 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 sold. That's not just luck, that's destiny wrapped in copper. But here's the thing, most people don't realize. The market for rare US coins is hotter than ever. Collectors, investors, even hedge funds are now diversifying into physical assets like coins because they're tangible, historic, and inflation-resistant. In 2025, the demand for rare error pennies skyrocketed, driving prices up across the board. The 1967 no mint mark Lincoln penny, once overlooked, became one of the most desired modern coins in the world at this point. You might be thinking, okay, but how do I know if mine's valuable? Great question. The first step is simple. Examine your pennies closely. Get a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look for doubling, off-center strikes, cracks in the die, or odd textures. Then, check the coin's color. Red coins retain their original copper shine, which significantly boosts value. If you think you found something special, send it to a reputable grading company like PCGs, NGC, or Alex. They'll authenticate it and give it a professional grade, which can make all the difference when you sell. And don't just rely on eBay listings or random appraisals. Trust verified, certified experts. Because in this business, details mean everything. Let's pause for a second. Can you imagine the fear of accidentally spending a fortune without realizing it? Someone, somewhere, probably handed a valuable 1967 penny over to a cashier decades ago for a pack of gum. That's the kind of story that keeps collectors awake at night. It's the fear of missing out, but with real financial consequences. And yet, that fear is also what drives the excitement. Because the flip side of that is pure possibility. The thrill that maybe, just maybe, you're sitting on a small fortune. It's that rush of adrenaline, that spark of discovery, that connects coin collectors across generations. You might laugh, but think about this. A penny worth nearly $1 million. That's like winning the lottery, except your ticket has been sitting in a coffee can for 50 years. Now, let's connect this to something bigger. Coins like the 1967 no-mint mark penny remind us that wealth isn't always about what's obvious. Sometimes, opportunity hides in the details, in the overlooked, the dismissed, the ordinary. And if you can train your eye to see value where others don't, that mindset alone can change your life, not just in collecting, but in business, investments, and beyond. The true collectors, the ones who find these treasures, aren't necessarily lucky. They're observant, they're patient. They study the craft, they pay attention, and they act when opportunity knocks. That's how fortunes are made, quietly, persistently, through awareness. Now, let's get real about the numbers. While not every 1967 penny will make you rich, some have sold for staggering amounts. Lower-grade examples with mild doubling or red-brown toning can fetch a few $100s. Brilliant, uncirculated examples can command several thousand. And the best of the best, those in perfect condition with verified errors, have reached prices close to $900,000. That's, right? A penny worth more than most homes in America. And the best part? There's still a chance others are out there. Hidden in collections, tucked in old drawers, sitting in forgotten jars. The U.S. Mint never released official counts on error strikes from 1967, so nobody truly knows how many exist. It's like a modern-day treasure hunt, except treasure could be sitting in your own home. So here's your challenge. After watching this, go through your coins. Look for that 1967 Lincoln Memorial sent with no mint mark. Examine every detail. Don't rush. Every small imperfection could be a clue. Remember, the person who found that nearly $1 million coin didn't stumble on it by chance. They looked carefully. They knew what to look for, and they took action. And if you do find something that seems extraordinary, don't just keep it hidden away. Have it graded, verified, and insured. Then, explore your options: auctions, collectors, online marketplaces. The demand for rare U.S. coins isn't slowing down anytime soon. There's something deeply inspiring about turning a single penny into a fortune. It reminds us that even the smallest, most overlooked things can hold immense potential. It's a lesson not just in collecting, but in life. Never underestimate what's right in front of you. Think about that the next time you see a penny glinting on the sidewalk. Will you walk past it, or will you pick it up, just in case? Because in 1967, a few ordinary people unknowingly held history in their hands. And today, someone just like you might be next. It's easy to scoff at the idea that a coin worth 1 cent could reach nearly $1 million. But what if I told you that this rare penny's value isn't just in its metal, it's in its mystery, its history, and the mistakes of the U.S. Mint that made it a legend among collectors. And if you have one, your life might be about to change forever. The story begins in a turbulent year 1968. America was in the middle of social upheaval, political shifts, and technological leaps. But deep inside the San Francisco Mint, unnoticed by the public, something remarkable happened. The mint workers were striking Lincoln Memorial cents, those iconic copper coins featuring President Abraham Lincoln on one side and the Lincoln Memorial on the other. Yet among the billions produced that year, a few were struck differently. A few had an error. A small, nearly invisible detail that would later make collectors' hearts race and wallets open wide. These were the 1960 ATIS proof pennies that carried a mint mark from San Francisco, but also a hidden mistake. Some coins were struck with a double die obverse, meaning the lettering and date appear slightly doubled when viewed under magnification. This tiny imperfection, invisible to most, transformed a mundane penny into a numismatic masterpiece. Now, before you start tearing through your change jar, let's put this in perspective. Most 1968's pennies are worth their face value, maybe a few cents if they're in pristine condition. But a 1968 test double die proof penny, especially one verified by a professional grading service, can sell for staggering amounts. One near-perfect example fetched close to $900,000. That's right, $891,000 for a single penny. And here's where the story gets even more fascinating. These coins aren't always hiding in collectors' vaults. Some are tucked away in old coffee cans, forgotten boxes, or inherited coin albums sitting in attics. People across the country are discovering rare coins they didn't even know they owned. One man found a 1968 penny while helping his grandmother clean her garage. He nearly threw it away until he noticed something odd about the date. That discovery ended up changing his financial future. So why are collectors willing to pay so much for these rare coins? The answer lies in scarcity, story, and status. Scarcity, because only a few of these error pennies were ever struck before the mistake was corrected. Story, because every great collectible comes with a legend. And this one ties back to the craftsmanship and occasional imperfection of America's minting history. And status, because owning one of these coins is like owning a piece of hidden American treasure. Think about it. How many people can say they possess something so rare, so extraordinary, that even experts whisper about it in excitement? Now, let's get real for a second. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, all right, but what are the odds that I have one of these million-dollar pennies? Well, odds are slim but not impossible. And that's what makes it exciting. Every great discovery starts with a bit of curiosity. But here's the twist. This coin story isn't just about luck. It's about awareness. Most people have rare coins sitting right under their noses, but never take the time to look closely. Maybe it's fear of disappointment. Maybe it's just that voice that says, "It's just a penny." But that mindset could literally cost you a fortune. Because when it comes to coins like the 1968S, knowledge is money literally. Knowing what to look for can turn pocket change into life-changing wealth. Let's dive deeper into what makes this particular coin so valuable. First, the mint mark, the tiny S just below the date. That indicates it was made in San Francisco. The proof coins from this mint were struck with special care, polished dies, and extra pressure to ensure a mirror-like finish. Collectors love that quality. But here's the kicker. The double die error makes it extraordinary. If you see the words liberty or in God we trust slightly doubled, or if the date 1968 appears shadowed, you might have something worth thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And let's not forget the condition. In the world of numismatics, condition is everything. Coins graded PR68 or higher, meaning nearly perfect proof, condition can reach astronomical values. If you've got one sealed in a plastic holder from grading companies like PCGs or NGC, check it now, because here's where fear meets opportunity. Every year, thousands of people unknowingly spend rare coins at face value. They slide through vending machines, end up in tip jars, or get deposited at the bank. Imagine handing over $1 million penny to buy a cup of coffee. Painful, right? So, before you spend another penny, take a closer look. You might be holding your ticket to financial freedom, and if you think that sounds far-fetched, remember, collectors have paid similar sums for other famous errors. The 1943 copper penny, the 1955 doubled die, the 1972 variety. Each one started as an ordinary coin until someone paid attention. Now, picture this. You discover one of these rare 1968 as pennies. You get it authenticated, graded, and sold. Suddenly, your dusty coin collection isn't just a hobby, it's an investment portfolio. You're not just finding a coin, you're finding opportunity, proof that small details can lead to big dreams. You might be wondering how to start. Simple. Gather every Lincoln memorial cent you own from the late 1960s. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look at the date, the lettering, and especially the mint mark. If you notice any doubling or odd features, set that coin aside. Research it. Compare it with images of verified double die examples online. And when in doubt, send it to a professional grader. But don't wait too long. Here's where urgency comes into play. As more collectors and investors flood the market, demand for rare varieties like the 1968 Tess double die grows. That drives up prices, but it also increases counterfeits. Authenticity matters more than ever, and the earlier you act, the better your chances of maximizing value. And let's not overlook the emotional side of this discovery. Finding a rare coin isn't just about profits, about connection. You're holding a tangible piece of history. Something that's survived decades of change. Something stamped with the legacy of Abraham Lincoln himself in an age where everything feels digital and disposable. Coins like these remind us that real value still exists in the physical world. A penny like this carries stories of craftsmanship, of chance, of hidden worth waiting to be uncovered. Of course, there's a touch of humor in all of this. Imagine explaining to your friends that your big financial break came from a penny. They'd probably laugh until you show them the check. Suddenly, those who rolled their eyes at your coin hobby might start checking their own jars and drawers. So, let's tie it all together. The 1968 Lincoln Memorial cent is more than a coin, it's a symbol. It shows us that wealth isn't always found where we expect. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for the curious, the patient, the ones who believe in possibilities. Whether you're a lifelong collector or someone who just found an old jar of pennies in the garage, remember, every coin has a story. Some stories are worth millions now. Before you rush to your coin stash, here's one final thought. Every day that passes, another rare coin slips away, lost or overlooked. The window of opportunity to capitalize on coins like the 1968's penny is narrowing. The market is hot now. Collectors are competing fiercely. And history has shown that rare coin values don't just rise, they skyrocket. If you've ever dreamed of living a wealthier lifestyle, of transforming something small into something extraordinary, this is your wake-up call. Because wealth doesn't always begin with a paycheck, can start with a penny dot. So, the next time you see that copper glint in your palm, don't dismiss it, inspect it, question it, treasure it. That ordinary penny might just hold an extraordinary future. And maybe, just maybe, the next headline about a record-breaking coin won't be about someone else, it'll be about you. Because in a world where everyone's chasing big opportunities, the real winners are the ones who notice the small ones first. But how can a coin so common, so unassuming, hold such life-changing value? That's exactly what we're diving into today. 1989 No Mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand why it's so valuable, but you'll also know exactly what to look for in your own change that could turn a single cent into a fortune. Because while most people overlook this coin, a few who know what to look for are cashing in big time. Before we get to the details, take a second to imagine the feeling. You're holding a coin you've had for decades, maybe tucked away in a jar. You glance at it and realize it's one of the rarest modern U.S. pennies in existence. Your heart races. That small piece of copper could change your life. And all it took was knowing what to look for. That's the kind of opportunity we're talking about here. Let's start with a story. A few years ago, a man in Ohio found a 1989 penny while going through his late father's coin collection. At first glance, it looked ordinary Lincoln's familiar face, the classic memorial building on the reverse. But something felt off. The coin didn't have a mint mark. Most people would have dismissed it instantly. But this man had heard rumors of an ultra-rare 1989 penny with no mint mark, one that was strikingly valuable. He decided to get it appraised. When the results came back, his hands literally shook. The coin was nearly flawless, struck on a copper planchet from a transitional batch, missing the mint mark entirely. Its estimated value, over $800,000. He had been holding a small fortune for years without knowing it. And here's the chilling truth: there could be more out there, possibly sitting in your home right now. Now, why is this coin so rare? To understand that, we need to go back in time, okay? To 1989. The U.S. Mint was transitioning its production processes. shifting from copper-based pennies to a predominantly zinc composition with a thin copper coating. The Philadelphia Mint, which typically produced coins without a mint mark, had a few transitional errors slip through the cracks pennies that shouldn't have existed in that specific composition. Under those minting conditions, these no-mint mark pennies were struck with precision errors that made them outliers in the production run. And when you combine rarity, historical transition, and pristine condition, you get a recipe for astronomical value. Think about it like this. Imagine printing a dollar bill with the wrong serial number sequence. That one bill instantly becomes a collector's obsession. The same logic applies here. Only a handful of 1989 pennies meet this rare error profile, and collectors worldwide are willing to pay top dollar for them. The result? The current record-breaking sale of $877,000 and growing. Interest pushing that number higher every year now. Before you rush off to dig through your coin jar, let's talk about what makes your penny valuable and what doesn't. Not every 1989 penny with no mint mark is a jackpot. Most are common, worth just 1 cent. But a few key details can make all the difference. First, the material. Authentic 1989 transitional era pennies are made of 95% copper instead of the usual zinc composition. The weight test is a dead giveaway. Grab a small digital scale and weigh your penny. If it weighs around 3.11 grams, it's a copper-based penny. You might be on to something big. But if it's closer to 2.5 grams, it's zinc, which means it's a standard issue. Still worth checking though, because condition and minting details can add surprising value even to standard pennies. Second, the missing mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint didn't typically use a mint mark in 1989. But the true value comes from the way the coin was struck, especially if the die used was intended for proof coins or made from transitional material batches. Look closely under Lincoln's shoulder. No D, no S, no visible mark, and you might have one of the elusive error strikes. Third, the condition. Grading plays a massive role in determining value. A penny that's been handled, scratched, or tarnished might still fetch hundreds. But a coin in near-perfect, uncirculated condition could skyrocket in price. Professional grading services like PCGs and NGC can certify your coin. And once they do, it officially enters the market as a verified collector's item. That's where the real magic happens. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You might be wondering, if it's from 1989, why are people only just now talking about it? That's the beauty and the mystery of rare coins. Many of these hidden gems go unnoticed for decades until one surfaces at auction, shocking the numismatic community and reigniting the hunt for more. The recent $877,000 sale reignited interest nationwide. Suddenly, people who had forgotten about their old coin jars started digging through them. Pawn shops saw a surge of customers. Collectors began trading and speculating. And just like that, the market value for rare error coins spiked. Here's a thought. While everyone is chasing the latest cryptocurrency or real estate trend, The truly quiet fortunes are being made in collectibles, rare coins, antique watches, and vintage art. The coin market, in particular, has proven astonishingly resilient. Some experts call it recession-proof wealth. While markets fluctuate, rare coins continue to appreciate in value because their supply is permanently limited. No government can print another 1989 no-mint mark transitional penny. Its rarity is locked forever. So, let's ask the million-dollar question. Literally? Could you be sitting on one? You might laugh, but think about how many times you've emptied your pockets, tossed your change into a jar, or ignored that penny lying on the counter. Somewhere out there, one of those forgotten coins could be worth a luxury car, a college education, or a dream home. And the only thing separating you from discovering it is awareness now. Here's a little humor to keep us grounded. Imagine the irony of paying for a coffee with a penny worth nearly $1 million. You'd probably lose sleep for weeks. But jokes aside, this is why collectors obsess over details. A single mark, a microscopic difference in metal, or a faint strike line can mean the difference between a common coin and generational wealth. If you're still watching, you're probably feeling two emotions right now: excitement and urgency. Excitement because the possibility of owning such a coin is real. Urgency because the window of opportunity is closing. As awareness spreads, more people are getting their coins graded, flooding the market, but the true rarities will always rise above. And the earlier you verify yours, the higher the potential reward. So what should you do next? Start by gathering your old coins, especially those from the 1980s and early 1990s. Look for 1989 pennies with no mint mark. Use a magnifying glass, good lighting, and that digital scale we talked about. If something feels off, trust your gut. Then, reach out to a professional appraiser or coin dealer for an evaluation. And whatever you do, don't clean the coin. That's one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. Cleaning can reduce its value by thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. Let the experts handle it. Here's something most people don't realize. The numismatic community is growing rapidly. Online auctions, coin conventions, and collector forums are buzzing with interest in these transitional era coins. Investors are diversifying their portfolios by adding rare coins. Recognizing that tangible assets often outperform traditional investments during economic uncertainty. The rare coin market in the U.S. alone is valued at over $4 billion annually and climbing. Now, picture this. You discover your penny. You get it graded. And it's confirmed as a rare 1989 transitional no mint mark error. You sell it for hundreds of thousands of dollars. How would that change your life? Would you pay off your mortgage? Retire early? Start that business you've always dreamed about? For many, it's not just about the money, it's about the freedom that comes with it. The realization that something so small, so overlooked, could rewrite your story. And yet, here's the subtle fear: the thought that you might have already held one of these coins and spent it without realizing its value. It's happened before. Rare coins pass through circulation unnoticed all the time. That's why awareness is your biggest advantage. Because now you know. You'll never look at your change the same way again. Collectors call coins like this sleepers, hidden treasures waiting to be awakened. And the 1989 no mint mark penny is perhaps one of the greatest sleepers of our time. Its rise from a 1-cent coin to nearly $1 million asset is proof that sometimes the extraordinary hides in plain sight. So let this be your wake-up call. The next time you hear that familiar jingle of loose change, pause for a moment. Pick it up. Examine it closely. You might just be holding the key to a new chapter of your life, a chapter defined by opportunity, wealth, and discovery. Because, in the end, this story isn't just about a penny. It's about the mindset of those who recognize value where others see none. It's about curiosity, attention to detail, and the courage to believe that fortune can start with something as humble as a coin. The 1989 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny reminds us of that timeless truth. Greatness often hides in simplicity. So go ahead. Start your search. That jar of coins, that box in the attic, that old wallet in your drawer, they could be holding more than memories. They could be holding a miracle worth $877,000, or even more. The only question left is, will you find it before someone else does? Because someone will. And when they do, their story will begin exactly like yours does right now, with a single question and a single penny. For most people, pennies are an afterthought. They roll under car seats, disappear into couch cushions, and end up in coffee shop tip jars. But for the few who understand their secrets, a single penny can be a ticket to unimaginable wealth. And today, we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and valuable coins ever struck by the U.S. Mint, a coin so rare that collectors and investors are willing to pay hundreds of thousands, even millions, to own it. But before we uncover the secrets of the 1994 no mint mark penny, let's take a step back. Why would a simple missing mint mark make a coin worth nearly $1 million? To understand that, we need to go back to the origins of this coin and the small mistake that created one of the most lucrative opportunities for coin collectors in modern history. The year was 1994. Bill Clinton was president. The internet was just finding its way into American homes. And the Lincoln Memorial sent the iconic penny had already been in production for over 3 decades. Most pennies minted in 1994 came from either Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, each identified by a small letter under the date. But one particular batch of coins left the mint missing something crucial: the mint mark. This tiny omission, invisible to most people's eyes, became a goldmine for those who knew what to look for. You might be thinking, wait, isn't it normal for some pennies to not have a mint mark? Yes, and that's where the confusion begins. Philadelphia minted pennies traditionally lack a mint mark, and that's perfectly normal. But the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny is special because some of these coins were struck using dies meant for proof or special issues. These weren't supposed to end up in circulation at all. And that's what makes them so incredibly rare. Collectors quickly realized something was off. The texture, the shine, the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, everything looked too perfect, too crisp. These weren't your average pocket change pennies. They were test strikes or accidental releases meant only for collectors. Somehow finding their way into the wild dot. Now, here's where it gets interesting. For decades, numismatists, that's a fancy word for coin experts, have debated just how many of these 1994 no mint mark errors exist. Some say only a handful. Others believe fewer than a dozen have ever been verified. And that scarcity is exactly what drives the insane value. In the coin world, rarity equals power. The fewer there are, the more collectors are willing to fight and pay to own one. Fast forward to today, and one of these elusive coins recently made headlines, selling for an astonishing $863,000 at auction. Yes, you heard that right. $863,000 for a single penny. Just imagine, a 1-cent coin that could buy you a luxury home, a brand new car, or fund your retirement. It's the ultimate underdog story, the forgotten penny that became a millionaire dashmaker. And here's the kicker. Many people who own one don't even know it. That's right. Some of these rare coins are sitting unnoticed in old collections, change jars, or coin albums in basements and attics across America. So, what if one of them is sitting in your home right now? Before you rush to grab a magnifying glass, let's talk about how to identify this potentially life-changing coin. The first thing you'll want to look for is the date, 1994. Check under the year if there's no letter. That means no mint mark. But don't get too excited yet. You'll need to inspect the details. The true rare specimen will have a sharper strike, a flawless surface, and an almost mirror-like finish on both sides. This isn't your average dull penny that's been tossed around for decades. It looks almost brand new, even if it's 30 years old. Here's a pro tip that most people overlook. Take a close look at the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. On authentic rare versions, the details between the columns are crystal clear. You can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside. If your coin looks this pristine, you might be holding something truly extraordinary. Now, let's inject a bit of humor here, because you might be staring at your change jar right now, squinting through your glasses and whispering, "Could it be?" If your spouse walks by and asks what you're doing, just tell them you're searching for your first 6-figure paycheck in copper form. Who knew financial freedom could be hiding under the couch cushions? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There are plenty of fakes and altered coins out there. Some sellers try to artificially remove mint marks to deceive collectors. This is why professional grading is absolutely essential. Trusted organizations like PCGs or NGC can verify the authenticity and assign a grade that can make or break your coin's value. A verified 1994 no mint mark Lincoln cent can easily command 6 figures. And if it's in pristine condition with a perfect strike, the price can skyrocket even higher. So what makes this particular coin so fascinating to collectors? It's not just the rarity. It's the story. Every rare coin has a story behind it, a mysterious error, a production flaw, or a limited release that slipped through the cracks of history. It's like owning a piece of the mint's secret past. You're not just buying metal. You're buying a piece of American history that defied the odds. And here's where the excitement really builds. The coin market today is exploding. More investors and collectors are pouring into the space than ever before. People are realizing that rare coins are tangible assets that often outperform stocks or gold in times of economic uncertainty. And with inflation climbing, tangible wealth is the new frontier. The 1994 no-mint mark penny isn't just a coin, it's a symbol of possibility. Proof that even the smallest, most overlooked things can hold massive value. But let's be honest, there's also fear. Fear of missing out. Fear that someone else will find the treasure first. Because while you're watching this video, someone out there could be checking their coin jar and discovering a fortune. That's why you can't afford to ignore this. Every day that passes, more of these coins are being found, sold, and locked away in private collections forever. Once they're gone. And the price. It's only going up. Here's something few people talk about. The emotional connection collectors feel toward these coins. For some, it's nostalgia, memories of childhood, saving pennies, or searching through pocket change with a parent or grandparent. For others, it's about legacy, leaving behind something rare, valuable, and enduring. Owning a coin like this isn't just about money. It's about holding a tangible symbol of luck, timing, and history. And if you think this is all hype, consider this. In 2019, a 1943 bronze Lincoln cent sold for over $1 million. A coin worth a single cent, selling for more than a supercar. It's happened before, and it's happening again. The 1994 no-mint mark penny is the next legend in line. You might be wondering, why now? Why is this coin suddenly commanding such enormous prices? The answer is simple. Scarcity meets awareness. With the rise of online auctions, social media, and digital marketplaces, rare coins that were once hidden from the world are being rediscovered. The demand is outpacing the supply, and that's driving prices through the roof. Wealthy collectors and investors are competing fiercely for the best examples, and that's pushing values to historic highs. And here's a little cliffhanger for you. There are whispers in the coin community that a near-perfect mint state specimen of the 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln cent may soon break the $1 million barrier. Yes, a penny worth 7 figures. Imagine what that headline would do to the market. Prices could surge overnight, and those who acted early could see life-changing returns. So what should you do right now? Start looking. Check every penny that passes through your hands. Go through your old coin jars, your drawers, your piggy banks, and those dusty boxes in the attic. You might be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. If you find something that looks promising, don't clean it, don't polish it, and don't try to improve it. Just store it safely and have it professionally graded. And if you've been dreaming of financial freedom, of living a life where your money works for you, not the other way around. This could be your moment. The universe doesn't always hand out opportunities this obvious. Sometimes they're disguised as simple copper coins. So, the next time you pick up a penny, don't roll your eyes. Look closer. That tiny piece of metal might just be your key to wealth, independence, and freedom. Because if history has taught us anything, it's that the smallest things can hold the greatest value, and sometimes one lucky find can change your life forever. Who knows? Maybe your story will be the next headline. Ordinary American finds 1994 no mint mark penny worth nearly $1 million. It sounds unbelievable, but it's real. And it's waiting to happen again. So keep your eyes open, your coins close, and your dreams even closer. Because fortune doesn't always knock on the door. Sometimes it jingles quietly in your pocket. Imagine finding a single penny-an-old worn coin sitting quietly at the bottom of a change jar, forgotten by time. You pick it up, expecting it to be worth exactly 1 cent. But what if I told you that penny could be worth nearly $1 million? That one small copper coin could hold the key to the kind of wealth that changes everything. This isn't fantasy. This is the incredible story of the 1970 Lincoln 1-cent coin, an unassuming treasure that has stunned collectors, investors, and historians alike. Now before you laugh and say, "Come on, a penny worth $1 million? That's crazy," let me stop you right there. Because people said the same thing about a few other coins before they sold for 6 and even 7 figures at auction. Today, you're about to discover how one small mint mark, one rare error, and one stroke of luck can turn a single cent into a fortune. Let's go back in time. It's 1970. America is in flux. The Beatles are breaking up. Gas costs 36 cents a gallon. And in Denver, at the U.S. Mint, millions of Lincoln cents are rolling off the presses. Most of them will go on to live ordinary lives spent on coffee, gum, or simply lost under couch cushions. But hidden among those millions was something different. A few coins, unnoticed by mint workers, carried a mysterious imperfection-y doubling of the date. A faint yet undeniable misprint that would one day send shockwaves through the numismatic world. At first, nobody noticed. These 1970 pennies slipped quietly into circulation. They jingled in pockets, changed hands in grocery stores, and were tossed into jars. But then, years later, sharp-eyed collectors began spotting something unusual. On some of these coins, the year 1970 seemed... The numbers were thicker, shadowed, like they were printed twice. This was no illusion, it was what experts call a double die obverse. Now, here's where it gets exciting. The 1970 double die penny isn't just a curiosity. It's a rarity so profound that serious collectors will pay staggering amounts for it. In recent years, verified examples in pristine condition have fetched values soaring into the hundreds of thousands, and the current record, a jaw-dropping $976,000. That's right, nearly $1 million. for a single cent. Let that sink in. A coin you could have used to buy a piece of candy might now buy you a house. Or two, maybe even your dream lifestyle. But what makes this coin so valuable? Why this penny? Of all things. It comes down to three things: rarity, condition, and demand. First, rarity. Out of all the coins minted that year, over 2.8 billion in total only, a tiny handful show this doubling effect. Some experts believe fewer than 50 examples exist in collectible condition. Second, condition. The coin grading scale runs from poor to perfect mint state. A 1970 penny in uncirculated condition, preserved from the day it was minted, could multiply in value exponentially. And third, demand. Coin collectors are passionate, competitive, and well-funded. When a coin this rare hits the market, it's not just a purchase, it's a battle. Think of it like this. There are Ferraris. There are Lamborghinis, and then there's that one prototype that only 2 people in the world own. That's the 1970 double die penny. But here's the question burning in everyone's mind. How do you know if you have one? Well, here's where the story gets personal. Imagine this, sure sifting through an old jar of coins. Maybe it's your dad's collection, or maybe it's something you've had tucked away for decades. You pull out a 1970 penny. Flip it under the light. Look closely at the date. Do the numbers 1970 look doubled? Does the D-mint mark seem slightly misaligned? That subtle imperfection could be the difference between 1 cent and a life-changing windfall, and before you assume all hope is lost. Here's something that surprises most people. These coins are still being discovered today. Every year, a few more pop up in estates, yard sales, and even pocket change. Just last year, a retired man in Kansas found one in his late father's coin box and sold it for over $400,000. Now let me ask, how many old jars, drawers, and boxes do you have lying around, untouched for years? See? Here's the irony. We spend our lives chasing wealth, working longer hours, taking on side hustles, trying to climb the ladder. Yet sometimes fortune hides in plain sight. A penny in your kitchen could be worth more than a lifetime of paychecks. And that's what makes this story more than just about coins. It's about awareness. About the idea that the extraordinary often hides inside the ordinary. The question is, will you take the time to look? Of course, there's another side to this tale, a word of caution. Where there's value, there's also deception. Counterfeiters have tried for decades to mimic the double die effect, and fake coins flood online marketplaces. That's why, if you suspect you found a 1970 double die penny, never rush to sell it. Get it authenticated. Trusted grading services like PCGs or NGC can verify its legitimacy and assign it an official grade. Without that certification, even a rare coin's value drops dramatically. And here's a little humorous truth. The moment you start telling friends you might have $1 million penny, everyone suddenly becomes a coin expert. You'll hear, "Oh, my uncle had one of those," or "Nah, that's just a regular penny." don't let opinions stop you. Let professionals confirm it, because here's the real kicker. The market for rare US coins is booming like never before. In a world where inflation eats away at cash, collectors and investors are turning to tangible assets, gold, silver, and yes, even copper. Just a few decades ago, the idea of paying thousands for a penny seemed ridiculous. Today, it's strategy. And tomorrow? Those prices could rise even higher. Let me put it another way. The people who understand history, who respect rarity, are the ones who profit from it. And right now, those who take the time to look through their coins could be sitting on hidden wealth. Imagine, for a second, what you'd do with $976,000. Would you pay off your home? Travel the world. Start the business you've always dreamed about. Because stories like this aren't about luck. They're about awareness and timing matters. Every year, collectors get more aggressive. Auction houses are seeing record-breaking sales. Coins that once fetched $20,000 now sell for 10 times that. The 1970 double die penny is riding that wave of momentum. If you ever wanted a reason to check your coins, this is it. Now, you might be thinking, what if I missed my chance? What if someone else already found the good ones? Here's where I'll stop you. History tells us that treasures resurface in waves. The last major discovery of these pennies happened decades after they were minted. Every new find reignites the market and raises values even more. So no, you haven't missed your chance. You're right on time. And here's another truth. Wealth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. It sits in a dusty box, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. That's why stories like this matter. They remind us to pay attention. There's a powerful lesson buried in this copper coin. It's not just about money. It's about perception. The same penny that 99% of people ignore can make one person rich beyond imagination simply because they looked closer. That's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. And before you go racing off to your coin jar, here's one final detail collectors obsess over: the mint mark. That tiny D on the 1970 penny stands for the Denver Mint. And it's what sets this version apart from the San Francisco and Philadelphia issues. But don't confuse the 1970 D double die with the 1970s version, which is also rare but distinct. Both are valuable, but the Denver variant is the true jackpot. So here's the question I'll leave you with. Have you ever really looked at your pennies? Because right now, one could be sitting just feet away from you, waiting. In a world where everyone is chasing digital currencies and complex investments, sometimes the greatest fortunes come from the simplest places. One coin, one glance, one discovery. Picture this: you're holding that penny in your hand. You send it off for grading. A few weeks later, the envelope arrives. You open it. Your heart races. There, it is, the official certification. 1970D Lincoln cent, doubled die obverse. Value: $976,000. You sit back, realizing that everything just changed. that feeling the thrill of discovery. The shock of transformation, that's what keeps collectors searching. That's what makes stories like this so powerful. So, if you have a box of old coins, if you've ever thought, maybe one day I'll go through them, make today that day. Don't wait for someone else to find your fortune. Because the truth is, $1,000,000 pennies don't just belong in museums or auction houses. They're out there in basements, attics, and jars, waiting for someone like you to uncover them. And when you do, remember this story. Remember that it wasn't luck. It was awareness. It was curiosity. It was the decision to look where others wouldn't. The 1970 Lincoln penny teaches us that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes the things we overlook are the very things that can change our lives. So go ahead, dig through that change jar. Check that old wallet. You never know. Your fortune might just be hiding in plain sight, because the next $1,000,000 penny, it could be yours. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious and thrilling story behind this rare and valuable coin. A coin so ordinary in appearance that millions of people have probably spent one. Without knowing, they might have been holding a fortune. By the end of this video, you'll know how to tell if you have one of these priceless treasures hiding in plain sight, and why collectors are willing to pay up to $969,000 for a single piece of copper. Before you toss that penny aside, listen closely, because this might be the story that turns your pocket change into generational wealth. It all begins in 1971. The United States was in transition. Nixon was in the White House. Gas cost about 36 cents a gallon, and a loaf of bread was 25 cents. Inflation was rising, the Vietnam War was raging, and the U.S. Mint was producing millions of pennies to keep up with the growing demand for coins in everyday transactions. Most of these pennies were made in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But here's where things get interesting. Some coins, struck in Philadelphia, were produced without a mint mark, that tiny letter you see below the date. Normally, not unusual. Philadelphia coins traditionally didn't carry a mint mark. But in 1971, something special happened. A small number of these pennies were struck with extraordinary precision. Using a special die intended for proof coins, coins that were meant for collectors, not for circulation. These proof dies had a sharper strike, deeper details, and a mirror-like finish. Somehow, a few of them were accidentally mixed into the regular production line. The result? The 1971 no mint mark. Lincoln cent with an ultra-rare appearance. A coin that shouldn't exist in circulation at all. Imagine being one of the few, lucky people who unknowingly received one in your change. Maybe you used it to buy a candy bar in 1972. Maybe it sat in a jar in your kitchen for decades. Maybe it's still there right now. Here's the twist. Only a handful of these era-struck coins have ever been authenticated. The scarcity of these coins has made them some of the most sought-after pieces in U.S. coin history. In recent auctions, collectors have been willing to spend staggering amounts to secure one. the highest recorded sale, a jaw-dropping $969,000 for a single 1971 no-mint mark penny, nearly $1 million for 1 cent. Now, take a moment and really think about that. You could be sitting on a coin that has more earning power than a luxury car or even a small home, all hidden within something most people wouldn't even bother picking up off the sidewalk. It's a powerful reminder that wealth isn't always loud or flashy. Sometimes it's small, round, and made of copper. But how do you know if your penny is the rare one? Let's go deeper. First, look closely at the date. It must read 1971 with no mint mark under it. Then, examine the details under a magnifying glass or even your phone's macro camera. The real treasure coins have a distinct clarity, Lincoln's hairlines, the Liberty letters, and the motto "In God We Trust" should be sharply struck, almost as if etched by a laser. The surface will appear glossier, with a subtle, reflective shine. If you find one that looks suspiciously perfect, don't rush to the pawn shop just yet. Many coins look similar, but are worth just a penny. The secret lies in having it authenticated by professionals like PCGs or NGC, the leading coin grading authorities. They can verify its authenticity and grade its condition. A top-grade coin, mint state, 67 or above, could easily fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. But here's where the excitement turns to urgency. These coins are so rare and the market for them is so hot that once one hits the open market, collectors pounce almost immediately. Prices can skyrocket overnight, and those who hesitate often miss out. Imagine knowing your old jar of pennies could contain a life-changing fortune, but you never checked. That's the kind of regret you don't want to live with. And if you think this is just a one-off story, think again. History has shown us time and again that rare pennies have changed people's lives. The 1943 copper penny sold for $1.7 million. The 1955 double-die penny sold for over $100,000. And now, the 1971 no-mint mark penny has joined that elite club of everyday miracles. Still, you might be wondering, why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a penny? The answer lies in the psychology of rarity and prestige. Collectors don't just buy coins, they buy stories, history, and the emotional thrill of owning something almost no one else has. It's the same reason art sells for millions. These coins are like miniature time machines, tangible pieces of American heritage. And for many, it's not just about collecting. It's about investing. The coin market has quietly outperformed traditional investments in certain years. And with inflation eroding the dollar's value, tangible assets like rare coins have become more attractive than ever. That's why some of the wealthiest families in America quietly build coin portfolios, because they understand that history, rarity, and passion can translate into long-term wealth. Now, let's pause for a moment. Ask yourself, when was the last time you checked your spare change? Or that old jar of coins passed down from your parents or grandparents? We all have that one container gathering dust somewhere in the house. Maybe it's time to open it again, Because if you're one of the lucky few holding a 1971 number mint mark penny, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding opportunity. But here's the part that surprises most people. Many valuable coins are lost simply because their owners never thought to look. They get spent, melted, or forgotten. Every year, thousands of rare coins disappear forever. And that makes the ones that survive even more valuable. So if you find one, what should you do? First, protect it. Don't clean it, don't polish it, and definitely don't rub it with your thumb. That tiny scratch could cost you thousands of dollars in lost value. Place it in a coin holder or a soft cloth pouch. Then, reach out to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a grading service. Once authenticated, you'll receive a certification number and grade that can open doors to serious buyers and high-end auctions. The next step is strategy. You can hold it as a long-term investment. Rare coins tend to appreciate over time, or you can sell while the market is hot. With recent sales approaching $1 million, some experts believe the next one could easily cross the seven-figure mark. Here's a funny thought. Imagine telling your friends you just sold a penny for more than their mortgage. It sounds ridiculous, but it's the kind of ridiculous we all want to experience, and that's what makes this story so captivating. It's not just about coins, it's about possibility. It's about the magic of finding hidden wealth where others see nothing. It's about rewriting your financial story with something as small as a penny. Think about the lesson behind it. How many other opportunities might be hiding in plain sight, unnoticed because we assume they're not worth looking at? That old box in the attic, that dusty album, that jar of coins, they might hold more than nostalgia. They might hold freedom, and freedom, that's the real treasure. Before you rush off to start digging through your pennies, here's something to remember. The people who find these coins aren't just lucky, they're curious. They pay attention. They take the time to look closer, and in life, that's often what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, the willingness to look a little deeper. So, here's your challenge. Today, go find your old coins. Check your drawers, your jars, your collections. Learn what makes each coin unique. Because even if you don't find $1 million penny, you'll discover something far more valuable: awareness. And that awareness could lead you to opportunities you never imagined. One small coin. One big lesson. Sometimes the smallest things can change everything, because wealth doesn't always come from hard work alone. Sometimes it comes from knowing where to look, and who knows? The next life-changing discovery might just be sitting in your pocket right now. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of something so small it fits in the palm of your hand, because in the world of rare coins, even a penny can make you a millionaire if you enjoyed this story and you're ready to uncover more secrets hidden in your own collection. Stay tuned. Your next penny could be your ticket to a wealthy, abundant future. The only question left is, will you take the time to look? So, before you think about cashing in your coin jar at the grocery store, you might want to watch this video all the way through, because by the end, You'll know exactly what to look for, how to spot a life-changing penny, and why the 1979 D. Lincoln cent has become one of the most desirable modern coins in U.S. history. But first, let's take a step back, because the story of this penny isn't just about metal and mint marks. It's about chance, timing, and opportunity. And if you play it right, it could be your story too. The year is 1979. The U.S. Mint is operating in full swing. Inflation is rising. The economy is shifting. And copper, the primary metal in pennies, is becoming more expensive to produce. The Denver Mint, known for its signature D mark, is churning out hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. Nothing unusual, right? Except in a sea of ordinary coins. A few extraordinary ones were struck, coins that would later become legends. Some 1979 D. Lincoln pennies came out of the mint with subtle, almost invisible differences. A double die here, an off-center strike there. Tiny imperfections invisible to the naked eye, but visible under magnification and worth an absolute fortune. But why? Why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for something so small? The answer lies in rarity, demand, and the human obsession with perfection, or in this case, imperfection. Coin collectors, or numismatists, are constantly searching for anomalies, mistakes made by machines that escaped detection. These errors, when rare enough, become priceless. It's a bit like finding a Picasso painting with a hidden signature, or an original baseball card with a printing error that makes it one of a kind. And the 1979 D penny. It's one of those masterpieces. Now, here's the fascinating part, and where most people miss out. The 1979 D penny doesn't look rare. To the untrained eye, it's just another dull brown cent. You might even spend it without thinking twice. But experts know exactly what to look for. The small details that make the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, the most valuable. Examples of the 1979 D. Lincoln cent show doubling on the obverse. That's the front side of the coin, where Lincoln's portrait is. If you look closely, you might see slight overlapping lines in the word liberty, the date 1979, or even Lincoln's eye. This doubling occurs when the coin die strikes the design twice, slightly misaligned. And here's where it gets thrilling. Collectors will pay astronomical amounts for these error coins, especially if they're in pristine, uncirculated condition. But before you rush to grab your magnifying glass, let's add a little humor to the mix. Imagine calling your spouse into the kitchen. "Honey, I just found our retirement plan in the junk drawer." Sounds crazy until it isn't. Because that's exactly how several lucky Americans have discovered their fortune. Some found these coins in old coffee tins, others in inherited coin collections, and some, believe it or not, in pocket change. So how does a coin that cost 1 cent to make end up worth $965,000 on the collector's market? Let's connect the dots. First, rarity. Only a handful of 1979 D pennies with major mint errors exist in high-grade condition. Out of hundreds of millions minted, only a few were struck with those rare doubling or off-center errors. And even fewer survive circulation unscathed. Second, demand. Lincoln cents are the most collected coin series in America. Generations of collectors have obsessed over these coins, especially those from the 1970s and 80s, when changes in minting techniques created a variety of unique anomalies. And third, condition. The difference between a penny worth $1 and a penny worth $1 million often comes down to one thing: preservation. Coins graded by professional services like PCGs or NGC with top grades, mint state 67 or higher, can fetch life-changing amounts at auction. But here's where things get even more interesting. The value of rare pennies isn't static. The coin market fluctuates, influenced by collector trends, economic conditions, and new discoveries. A coin that sold for $50,000 a decade ago might be worth 10 times that today. That's why serious collectors call coins pocket-sized investments. Now, I can almost hear you thinking, what if I have one? What if that jar of coins in my attic is worth more than I ever imagined? That's the right question to ask. Because the truth is, many people do, and they simply don't know it. Let's create a picture. Somewhere, maybe in your home, there's a small box. It's been sitting there for years. Maybe it belonged to your parents or grandparents. Inside, a pile of pennies. You've never looked twice. But what if, buried among them, lies a coin that could change your financial future? That's not a fairy tale. It's happening right now, across the country. More people are realizing that old coins can be keys to generational wealth. But you have to know how to start by checking for the mint. Mark under the date that small d stands for the Denver Mint. Then, under bright light or with a magnifying glass, examine the word Liberty and the numbers in the date. If you notice any doubling, even the slightest, set that coin aside. Next, inspect the overall condition. If your penny is shiny with little to no scratches, it might qualify as uncirculated, the kind collectors crave. And finally, if you think you have something special, get it authenticated. Don't just list it on eBay and hope for the best. Professional grading gives your coin legitimacy and can multiply its value overnight. Here's a pattern interrupt for you. Have you ever spent a penny that you now wish you hadn't? Maybe you tossed one into a wishing fountain. Well, joke's on us, because someone might have just wished on $1 million coin. Now let's dive into why the 1979 D penny, specifically, has captured the imagination of collectors in 2025. Recently, at a high-profile coin auction, one of these rare Lincoln cents sold for $965,000, setting a new record for a modern U.S. penny. Experts say its exceptional strike quality, error pattern, and perfect state of preservation made it a one Anuvian find. That sale reignited interest in all 1970s Lincoln cents, pushing even lower-grade examples into the thousands. Collectors and investors alike are now hunting for these coins, not just for their beauty, but for their profit potential. Think of it this way. Most investments require large upfront costs and uncertain returns. But with coin collecting, the investment might already be in your hands. You just have to recognize it. This is where fear meets opportunity. Fear of missing out on something that could transform your financial life. Because for every person who discovers a valuable coin, there are countless others who unknowingly let theirs slip away, and that's why timing matters. The coin market moves quickly. A rare coin discovered today could double in value tomorrow if the right buyer enters the market. That's why it's crucial if you have old coins, inherited collections, or even jars of loose change to start checking them now. But let's not forget, this isn't just about money. It's about curiosity, history, and legacy. Each coin tells a story of the year it was minted, the people who used it, the hands it passed through. The 1979 D penny carries the story of America's changing economy, the resilience of the working class, and the craftsmanship of minting in an age before digital perfection. And when a collector buys such a coin, they're not just buying metal, they're buying a piece of time, a fragment of history that can never be reproduced. Now imagine the possibilities. Imagine being the person who finds one of these hidden gems. How would your life change? What would you do with nearly $1 million? Would you invest it? Travel the world? Help your family? Build something lasting? This is where the excitement turns into urgency. Because every day that passes, more coins are lost, spent, melted, or destroyed. The number of surviving 1979 D era pennies is shrinking, and scarcity drives value, so the sooner you act, the greater your chances of finding one before it's gone forever. Before we close, here's a quick recap to keep your eyes sharp. You're looking for a 1979 penny with a small D mint mark below the date. Signs of doubling on the front, especially around Liberty and the date. A coin in excellent, uncirculated condition, and confirmation from a grading service that your coin is authentic and rare. If you find one that meets those criteria, you might be holding a ticket to financial freedom, a penny that could be worth hundreds of thousands, or even close to $1 million. So go check your jars, your drawers, your piggy banks. Go through that inherited collection you've been meaning to look at. Because stories like these don't just belong to history books. They belong to real people, just like you. And who knows? The next headline-breaking sale could be your coin. The next collector's dream could be your discovery. It all starts with curiosity, a little knowledge, and the courage to look closer. Because sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value. So take this as your sign, your reminder that wealth, isn't always about big moves or risky investments. Sometimes it's about paying attention to the overlooked, the ordinary, the everyday dot. That old penny in your pocket might not just be change. It might be your chance. Keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing, because your next lucky find could be the story the world talks about next. And when it happens, remember this moment, the one when you decided to look closer, to take action, and to turn a single cent into a life of abundance. everyday Americans are rediscovering the quiet fortune that could be lying inside their loose change. And yet, most people are walking right past its pending away what could be their ticket to financial freedom. But here's the twist. This coin doesn't even look special at first glance. It's not gold. It's not silver. It's just a penny. And that's what makes it so fascinating. Let's rewind for a moment. The year was 1994. Bill Clinton was in the White House. Gas was barely over $1, and nobody was thinking twice about a penny. Millions of Lincoln cents rolled off the presses at the U.S. Mint Denver, Philadelphia, and San Francisco. But something strange happened that year. Somewhere, somehow, a small batch of cents left the mint missing one critical mark, the tiny mint mark letter that identifies where the coin was made. That tiny missing letter would transform a 1 cent, going into a treasure worth more than most people's homes. Now, before we dive into why this happened and how to spot it, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? I mean, really looked. Most of us treat them like pocket clutter, not potential investments. But the truth is, coin collectors and numismatists, the people who study coins, know that the smallest imperfections, the tiniest minting errors, can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. So how did this happen in 1994? Normally, the Philadelphia Mint coins are made without a mint mark, while Denver coins carry a D and San Francisco coins an S. However, in this case, an extremely rare misprint occurred during the minting process, producing a 1994 Lincoln, sent with no mint mark but struck in a unique die alignment and metal composition error. It's so subtle that only trained eyes or incredibly lucky hands can spot it. When the first of these error coins surfaced, experts were skeptical. But after authentication and grading by top authorities like PCGs and NGC, the truth was undeniable. The coin's features matched no other known 1994, a cane cent. Collectors realized they were looking at a one-of-a-kind minting anomaly. The bidding wars began, and the value skyrocketed. Now, here's the exciting part, man. The part that should light a spark of curiosity in you. There's more than one out there. At least a few examples are believed to exist, tucked away in old jars, dresser drawers, and forgotten coin collections. And every day, someone new is finding out they've been holding on to a life-changing penny for years without even knowing it. Think about that for a second. While most people complain about the economy, rising costs, and financial stress, a handful of everyday individuals are cashing in on the kind of coin finds that change lives. A penny that could erase debt, pay off a mortgage, fund a dream lifestyle. The American dream, rediscovered in copper and zinc. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. You might be wondering, why would anyone pay that much for a penny? The answer lies in a mix of rarity, condition, and history. The 1994 no mint mark penny sits at the perfect intersection of mystery and scarcity. Collectors chase what they can't easily find. And because so few of these exist, the demand continues to soar. In fact, according to recent auction trends, The market for rare Lincoln cents has risen by over 200% in the last decade. That means if you find one today, its value could climb even higher tomorrow. Still, most people will never notice the difference between a regular 1994 penny and a $1 million one. That's why understanding what to look for is so important. The rare coin has unique die characteristics, slightly double date, sharper strike details, and a specific color tone due to the unique alloy mix used in that cospicular minting run. If you're listening to this right now, you might be thinking, well, I don't have a coin collection. But guess what? That doesn't matter. These coins have shown up in grocery store change, at garage sales, and even in rolls of pennies bought from the bank. You don't need to be a collector. You just need to know what you're looking for. Imagine checking your change one evening, spotting something unusual, and realizing you're holding almost $1 million in your hand. Imagine that rush of adrenaline, the disbelief, the sudden flood of possibilities, the vacations, the house upgrades, the freedom from debt. It's not just money, it's validation that sometimes fortune really does favor the curious. But here's the fear factor, the part that keeps collectors up at night. What if someone spends one of these rare coins by mistake? It happens more often than you'd think. Some of the most valuable coins ever found were discovered after being spent, passed around, even used in vending machines. Every rare penny in circulation faces the same fate if it's not recognized. The difference between a penny and a fortune is awareness. And that's why you're here. Because awareness creates opportunity. You're not just learning about coins. You're learning how to see value where others see nothing. That's the mindset that builds wealth not just in collecting, but in life. Now, let's shift gears for a second. Humor me with this. How many pennies do you think you've ignored in your life? 1,000? 10,000? Maybe it's time to start looking again. There's something oddly poetic about the idea that the smallest coin in American currency could carry the greatest potential. But don't go running to sell just any penny yet. Condition is everything. A 1994 no-mint mark penny in average circulated condition might bring a few $100s. But one in mint-state condition, no scratches, perfect shine, professionally graded can command life-changing money. That's why collectors send their finds to grading services like PCGs or NGC. A coin's grade can multiply its value by 10 or even 100 times. And here's another cliffhanger. Experts believe there may be an even rarer variant of this coin still undiscovered, possibly struck with a transitional metal blend from leftover planchettes used in earlier years. If that coin surfaces, its value could break records. The next $1 million penny might not even be the one we already know about. It might still be waiting for its first discovery. That's the beauty and the mystery of coin collecting. It's part science, part art, and part treasure hunt. Every coin tells a story of mistakes, craftsmanship, and hidden history. And the 1994 no-mint mark, Lincoln penny, is the perfect example of how one small error in a massive system can create unimaginable value. So, what does this mean for you? It means opportunity. It means empowerment. It means that your financial breakthrough might not come from Wall Street, but from the palm of your hand. While others chase quick riches, you're learning how to spot real, tangible value. Let's bring this closer to home. Picture yourself discovering one of these coins. You verify it, send it for grading, and a few weeks later, you receive the results: authentic, genuine, rare. Then comes the auction. The bids start small, 10,000, 20,000, but then the numbers climb. 100,000, 200, 500,000. And finally, the hammer falls, $956,000. Just like that. Your life changes forever. It sounds like a fantasy, but stories like this are unfolding every year. People who once brushed off coin collecting as an old-fashioned hobby are now turning it into serious wealth. The market is booming, and as inflation rises, tangible assets like rare coins are becoming even more desirable. Collectors are not just buying history, they're buying stability, legacy, and status. And that brings us to the final takeaway. Don't underestimate what you already have. Your financial potential might be hiding in plain sight. Go through your coins, check your change, search those old jars. Pay attention to the details. Because when opportunity looks ordinary, most people miss it. But those who pay attention, the ones who take the time to look closer, are the ones who win. The 1994 No Mint Mark Lincoln cent isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that greatness often hides in simplicity. That fortune can favor patience, curiosity, and knowledge. And maybe, just maybe, your next penny could be your key to living the wealthy, free lifestyle you've always dreamed of. So here's your challenge. Tonight, when you empty your pockets or count your change, take a closer look. That small copper coin you're about to dismiss could be worth more than gold. Because sometimes, the universe hides the biggest treasures in the smallest places. Your $1 million penny might already be waiting for you. Are you ready to find it? Most of us have loose change lying around, pennies in jars, under car seats, even at the bottom of drawers we never open. But what if I told you that inside that pile of forgotten coins could be a life-changing fortune? That's not just a fantasy. It's a reality that's happened to ordinary Americans who discovered one of these rare Lincoln cents. This penny, minted in 2006, looks deceptively normal. It carries the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, the copper sheen, the words "In God We Trust." But what sets it apart, what turns it into a potential gold mine is, what's missing? The mint mark. Normally, coins minted in Denver carry a small D. Those from Philadelphia often carry no mark, and those from San Francisco an S. So what's the big deal about a missing mark? The answer lies in an extraordinary minting one that made a handful of these. 2006 No Mint Mark pennies, phenomenally rare. Before we dive into how this simple coin could be worth close to $1 million today, let's rewind. Because every great story begins long before the jackpot moment. In 2006, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents. By all accounts, it was an unremarkable year for coin production. Nothing flashy, nothing particularly collectible, till reports began surfacing of a strange, missing mint mark penny found in regular circulation. People were confused. Was it fake? A factory error? Or perhaps something even rarer? Collectors began to whisper about it on online forums, and coin dealers started investigating. What they discovered sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. A small batch of pennies accidentally struck without a mint mark, but with distinctive metal composition and die characteristics. Had escaped into circulation. This wasn't a simple mistake, was a minting anomaly. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. A coin like this doesn't just appear, it survives. It circulates for years in pockets, registers, and piggy banks, losing its shine but gaining in legend. Each one becomes a potential lottery ticket disguised as pocket change. And that's exactly why collectors go wild for it. But how does a 1-cent coin jump to a valuation of $933,000? Let's break it down. Rarity is the heartbeat of coin value. The fewer examples known to exist, the more collectors will pay. Combine that with perfect condition, what experts call mint state, and the price skyrockets. One of these 2006 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies, discovered in uncirculated condition, fetched an astonishing 6-figure sum at auction. Imagine that for a moment. You're holding a penny that could buy you a brand new luxury SUV, pay off your mortgage, or fund your dream vacation, and all it cost you was 1 cent. The fear here, and yes, it's realize that millions of Americans have already spent these rare coins without ever realizing what they were worth. The thought that a small, overlooked penny might have slipped through your fingers is enough to make you want to dump out every jar of change you've ever saved. Because once these coins are gone, they're gone for good. But don't panic yet. There's hope, and it could still be sitting right in your home. Here's what to look for. First, the date, 2006. Check the area under the year for a mint mark. If you don't see a small letter, no D, no S, nothing at all, pause. Take a closer look. Under strong light, the absence of that mint mark could mean you're holding a coin worth hundreds of thousands. Second, check the condition. Scratches, dullness, and wear will reduce the value. But even circulated examples can fetch thousands if authenticated. Finally, get it appraised. Don't clean it, don't polish it, just handle it gently and take it to a certified coin dealer or send it for professional grading. Here's where the story takes an emotional turn. One woman from Michigan reportedly found a 2006 no-mint mark, Lincoln penny while sorting through her late father's coin jar. She almost tossed it back into a Coinstar machine, thinking it was nothing special. But something about the missing mark caught her eye. She had it evaluated, and the results left her speechless. It was authentic, and it sold for nearly $1 million. This isn't just about luck. It's about awareness. It's about opportunity hidden in plain sight. And it's a powerful reminder that wealth doesn't always come in big, flashy packages. It can come in the smallest, most ordinary objects. Now, let's pause for a second. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny? Not just glanced at it, but really looked. Most people don't. It's just a cent, right? But if this story teaches anything, it's that small things can hold enormous value if you know where to look. And that brings us to a bigger idea. What else in your life might be quietly holding value you've overlooked? Maybe it's an old collection, a forgotten box in the attic, or even a dream you set aside years ago. The rare 2006 penny isn't just a collector's treasure, it's a metaphor for hidden potential. Still, let's stay grounded in facts, because I know many of you watching want to understand the numbers. The current market value for verified specimens of the 2006 no mint mark Lincoln penny in pristine condition stands around $933,000, according to recent auction records. Lower-grade examples, those with minor wear or handling, can still sell for anywhere from $5,000 to $75,000, depending on the specifics. That's an incredible range for something that most people never think twice about spending. But the real urgency here comes from supply and demand. As collectors scoop up verified coins, the available pool of these rare pennies shrinks. That means the value could climb even higher. Think of it like real estate in a limited market. The rarer the asset, the faster it appreciates. So, if you've ever thought about selling old coins or turning your collection into cash, this might be your window of opportunity. The coin market is hotter than ever, fueled by online auctions and global collectors willing to pay top dollar for minting anomalies like the 2006 no mint mark penny. Now, let me ask you a quick question. If you found one of these rare pennies tomorrow, what would you do? Would you sell it immediately or hold it, knowing its value could rise even more? It's a good problem to have, isn't it? The truth is, stories like these remind us that wealth isn't always about having more, it's about seeing more, seeing what others overlook, paying attention when everyone else is rushing by. That's the mindset that turns small discoveries into fortunes. Of course, there's also a humorous side to this. Picture someone at the grocery store accidentally using a $900,000 penny to buy gum. It sounds ridiculous, but it happens. History is full of people who unknowingly spent rare coins worth small fortunes. And once that coin is gone, it's like losing a lottery ticket after the winning numbers are drawn. Don't let that happen to you. Start looking. Start checking. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story can change your life. Let's tie this together with one final thought. The 2006 no mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just a collector's curiosity, it's a wake-up call. It's proof that even in an age of digital transactions and virtual currencies, there's still tangible treasure hiding in the real world. It challenges us to stay curious, to look deeper, and to never assume that something small can't have big value. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or sort through that jar of change, take a moment to really look. You might just be holding a piece of history worth nearly $1 million. And if you are, remember this: it's not just about selling a coin, it's about unlocking potential, recognizing value, and rewriting your story. Because sometimes, wealth doesn't come from chasing something new. Sometimes, it's been sitting right there in your hand all along. So go check those pennies. Your future might just be hiding in copper and waiting for you to notice.